Yeah, it was such a fun weekend to be able to play them at home first this year, because I do feel like we have such great energy when we play at home in the Dome. And last year, our first game against Concordia St. Paul really kind of stuck with our returning players in their heads because we felt like we just didn't play the way that we knew that we could, and we were overwhelmed by being in a place that was very familiar because so many people are from there, but also not rising to the occasion. There was a lot of frustration, even though we did end up beating them 2 more times last year. But this year, to be able to come out kind of full speed and feel really confident in our scout, really confident in our preparation, and then to see us do it in a way that we hadn't yet was really, really rewarding for everyone, coaches to players, because they just executed exactly what we told them to do, and it was pretty cool. And it was just so fun to be able to do that because even though Concordia is having a little bit of a rougher year than maybe we anticipated, they are still really skilled, and all those players from last year are back. And if you don't show up, a tough, competitive, aggressive team like that can really put you in your place. And I was really proud of especially our pace of play and intensity. So it was fun.
After kind of like not being super happy with the scout from GVSU, was
Mm-hmm.
it good, just like confidence wise, to have that
Yes.
type of a game?
Yes, especially since we kind of changed how we prepped for Concordia. And so to be able to use that going into this week and see that we had success based on the way we prepped last week will hopefully help us be more prepared for the intensity that we need to have for these two coming games this weekend. It just was, we had more full speed reps in practice, more live reps, more of our best defenders playing in Concordia St. Paul's style of defense instead of our traditional like scout team versus what we were going to play. And I do think that more intense practice play really benefited us, and then us just hounding our offense like, no, we are not going to stop moving. You can't give in to the bad habits that cost us offensive reps that we were frustrated about, and they really did it. So we're trying a similar formula, at least with our practice structure, to see what we can get out of this week.
Yeah, and then talking about this weekend, if you just literally just face these two
Yeah.
teams. But I mean, are you thinking about Grand Valley yet, or is it just full speed on Davenport right now, or can you just talk about this weekend?
We are spending a little bit of time on Grand Valley just because we'll only have that one day of turnaround. Like we spent yesterday on Grand Valley, just being able to kind of crank up intensity and get our kids moving at a pace where they're going to see more realistic looks in the style of defense that Grand Valley played because we were so ill prepared for it last time. We wanted to at least give ourselves a little bit of backing, but facing Davenport and focusing on Davenport and playing to prepare for them, I think is really important because at this point in the season, I think you can get into a lot of trouble if you start looking past teams and you start not holding your athletes accountable and your coaches accountable and yourself accountable for taking every game seriously and scouting in the way that you need to. So we are spending a lot of time on Davenport because yes, we won, but there's always things you can do better, and maybe we caught them on a bad day. Even though I do think we had a good day that day, we need to hold ourselves to the standard that we're going to move with intensity and purpose and more follow through more with our game plan than maybe we have in the past.
And then I kind of, just because now I feel like you've kind of had a chance to get your head back on and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, if you're okay talking about it, I was wondering, could you just talk about, Matt's new position and the decision that went into that, and just, just overall?
Yeah, I'll try not to start crying on the camera, but I think it's Northern's such a special place to both of us, and we met here 7 years ago, and to be able to come to a place like this and be accepted by everyone and grow in our coaching careers and have we got hired here separately. We met here around the same time, and to both kind of grow into the people and coaches that we are now together here was such an important part of our journey. And I think part of being married to a coach for both of us is that you always recognize when you leave, it's going to be for someone's job, and that it's going to be like you're going to probably have to leave eventually, especially with just the rate of winning that they were doing here. It was going to be hard for him to keep out of sights of the higher level because he was so successful, and there's certain jobs that you just can't say no to. And he was always really cognizant of like me and my team and valuing like what I do and making sure that I'm a part of decision making processes. But at a certain point when it's this big of a jump and it's in region and it's honestly like one of the jobs that he's always talked about, and it's close to his family and it's closer to the airport for my family. Like there's so many things about it that made a lot of sense that this wasn't one that could be a no. And I'm so happy for him. I'm so excited for this next step. But it is different to, I mean, he doesn't work here anymore. Like there's only one Mackersack at Northern Michigan now, and it's very strange. It's very different last couple of weeks, and I think just finishing my season and seeing what's next for me and for my team and for his team too, as Keel Gans is getting hired, who's, I mean, one of my best friends and Matt's best friend, and it's just such a different, just big changes all at once, but change is normal, especially in college athletics, and just like our athletes, you have to get used to people leaving. It's part of it.
What does it mean to just like, when you're two coaches, two people that do the same thing, to have the support, for him to be so cognizant of your position and what you do and what you're
Yeah.
passionate about, and you to have to, do the same thing for him, what kind of, what does that mean, that support?
It's so cool, and it's such a unique thing to be able to have your partner be in the same profession of you, even though obviously we have two very different approaches, and we also have two very different jobs, and lacrosse and basketball exist in different worlds. But to be able to have someone that understands the stress and understands the prep the hours, the prep that goes into different things, your relationships with athletes, what you need to do to recruit, like that daily support, but also like someone that you can talk to when things are going wrong or right, and have trust that they know what they're saying on either side. And I think that's one thing we've always both talked about is like, yes, coaching is really, really hard, but the most stressful thing is always going to be being at the other person's games, because it's the one thing you can't control, is whether or not their outcome is going to be what they want, and you love this person and you want them to be happy and you want them to be successful, and you have no power over what's happening, and the fan stress can be really, really significant. But there aren't a ton of people that are in the like situation that me and Matt were in, and I think that it's such a unique one to be able to share such a high pressure, high reward career and be able to understand that in a way that other people don't when they're with coaches. So it's something I'll always value, our time doing that. And I mean, I got hired at 24, and I didn't know a ton about coaching other than literally the coaching part of it. And so to be able to have someone that knew so much that came in at the same time as me and to fall in love, but also have someone to teach me pretty much everything about what I know about college athletics, is something that made me a great coach, and has really developed how I run a program and how I handle things. And I think probably I've given him a little bit of a lighter touch than he used to have too, just by the way that we've watched each other grow.
How's this weekend, Vinny?
It was good. It was cold and rainy almost the whole day, so it was, yeah. So it was the weather wasn't great, but we had some great performances really for the type of weather it was, and yeah, I was really impressed with what we did with, and everybody was, tough, no complaining, and the nice thing is they have an indoor facility like right next to their outdoor track, so the team camps were in there, and the athletes could come in and out and compete and then go get dry, but it was definitely not great weather.
Are there certain events, probably more like the field, that like when it comes to the rain, it's like the performances just aren't the same?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that, especially because they basically couldn't, they were a little farther away from the indoor facility, so they were out there almost the entire time. But our throwers actually had some really good performances, so. But yes, normally that would go down a little bit. Sprinting too, because when it's so cold like that, and also risk of injury, risk of, pulling a muscle in that cold weather, because they're sprinting so hard in short events. But overall, I mean, really some good results. And a couple of distance runners did really well in the 5K, and that was raining the entire time. So.
I know you talked about Danny last week, and then she had another good performance. As a transfer, she's a little closer to home now. Can you just talk about her transition to Northern Michigan, how she's been performing so well, or just as a sophomore?
Yeah, she's doing great. I mean, and I think she's really enjoying. She has a group. It's a group of throwers, you know, smaller, like 6 of them, and they really have kind of have a great bond, and I think that makes a difference too. They're really supportive of each other, and they work well together. And not only, you know, and Coach Luke Pease does a great job with them, but then they all are helping, you know, watch each other and teach each other, and so yeah, I think she really it likes it and feels like she's getting more individual attention here than she was before, and she seems to really enjoy the team. So really, really impressive performance. I mean, she's only a meter away from the provisional mark in the hammer throw, so it'll be exciting to see with some better weather this coming weekend, and then the following weekend we're taking a smaller group to some meets in California, and she's one of them. So, and then she'll be against some top competitions from across the country. So it'll be fun to see what she can do as we go.
Oshkosh is this weekend. I mean, you guys had a really good showing last year there. Are we expecting the same thing, kind of a similar competition? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Across the board, I think we'll have some good results, and I think we should do well as a team again. Yeah, it should be, and it looks like right now 55 and sunny. So cross our fingers that it stays that way. Is that we can get away from the snow.
I'm good because it's like it's April, our weather sucks. You can't practice outside because, ugh.
Yeah.
Has that bothered them in the fact that they can't practice outside?
I don't think too much, just because we have this nice facility and we're able to, you know, and then it's nice weather inside while we're practicing. The distance runners still get outside for the longer runs, but then for our workouts we do them all inside. And I think they like it that we have, you know, this nice facility and can still train in here. And then now hopefully when we go to meets, this continue to get better as we go. But it's a tough group, and I was impressed that we had very little complaining during the meet, because that was not a nice day.